Hello. Today we're going to give you an overview of EPM Live, our PPM work management solution. EPM Live is focused in this area of PPM, otherwise known as project and portfolio management. We've also extended the concept to be more of an all-work management platform to help organizations manage all their work and all of their resources. We've gained this experience through doing PPM and consulting and systems deployment since 1999. That experience has given us best practices that allow us to build pre-built solution apps so that you can get the benefits of this system very quickly. We offer this solution to you either online in a software as a service model or as an on-premise solution that you can install on your own internal servers. We have a large customer base through rapid adoption worldwide, and we're a one-stop shop for folks who want all the professional services, support, and software that they need in order to become successful. Also, we've been received well by the analyst community, the folks whose job it is to analyze and recommend solutions to the marketplace. And we're proud to get consistently high grades from all the analysts that take a look at our products and services. EPM Live is now part of the Upland family, a substantial company with over $50 million in revenue, over 200 employees, and well backed so that we're on a solid foundation to support our customers. EPM Live really isn't a one-size-fits-all proposition. We have different tiers of our solution and different weights of solutions so that we can deploy to all different needs, from small businesses up to the largest of enterprises. And also folks with lower project management maturity or organizational rigor that they need can be addressed through our solution. Also, when you think about us, you can go as broad or as narrow in a definition of work as you want to in your organization. From waterfall projects and all of the items in there like tasks and issues and deliverables and change requests, from agile projects where they want to manage backlogs and user stories and defects and features and plan and work on them in more iterative-based approaches, to the unstructured, unplanned work like operational works like incidents and work requests. We can handle all of those within EPM Live and help you manage all work and all resources across them. Also, with our pre-built solutions, depending on what vertical industry you're in, what type of department or business unit or type of work that you do, we have pre-built solutions that address the nuances of those types of work. Even though project and portfolio and work management have common threads, depending on the nature of the work you do, there are subtleties and differences in methodology and nomenclature and approaches that are addressed by our different variations in our solution. Also, from a flexible perspective, depending on your role in the project and work management process, you can have a different user experience presenting you with different data and access to different capabilities and functionality, so that the user experience for a team member need not be the same as a project manager or a resource manager or as an executive, and the things that they want to see and the things they need to have quick access to. So we bundle this together in a total EPM Live work management platform. So you can deploy in your organization one or as many of our applications as you want to address the needs of different communities or constituencies within your organization. We also have pre-built work features, so all the different work types that I mentioned in the prior slide, you can actually adopt those, deploy those, and have all the different work types available to you within a common solution. We even have a connector and built-in integration capabilities and some pre-built integrations that allow us to even absorb or bring in workload that's being generated in other systems so that EPM Live can be the hub to manage and look at total resource capacity versus demand, for example. But regardless, EPM Live ties it all together. No matter how many of our applications you deploy to different communities, no matter what data you're bringing in from other systems, we can bring together and give you common roll-up visibility at the enterprise for all your portfolios, all your schedule information, resource information, financial management and cost and budgeting, time reporting, and the business intelligence out of this rich data set becomes a much more natural output. The reports and the dashboards and other analytics become just an outgrowth of what you do by working in the system. Also, it can be an all-work funnel for intake. The demand that comes in, projects, incidents, change requests, other things can come in. They can get categorized, prioritized, and even go down their own unique paths or work streams for approval. The benefit here is that all of it goes through a common system. The folks that approve these things can all be working within a common system. And more importantly, the resources that get assigned this work have one place to go to get all of their work assignments, to see what's on their plate, and provide status and updates across all of it. And hence all the reporting on all this type of work comes out of a single repository through a single reporting and work management engine. We are built in SharePoint from Microsoft. One of the benefits of that is that the SharePoint layer really provides us a broad set of capabilities in general that allow us to take advantage of content management and search and business process management and other types of things that are provided by that platform. EPM Live then leverages that by providing you all the capabilities you would expect to find in a standalone separate proprietary PPM solution as a natural extension to SharePoint. What we're doing is leveraging the SharePoint core capabilities in very specific ways to do the tasks or the items or the functionality you see up above. We provide this to you in all the major browsers that are out there and through mobile solutions as well. The advantages of being in SharePoint cover a lot of different areas. One is if you're already a SharePoint shop and using it for content management and other collaborative needs, you can leverage what you already own, hence saving money. You also, for your teams that are going to adopt this solution, you really reduce adoption risk because they get to use a platform that they're familiar with and already know how to navigate. So the risk of having them learn and accept a proprietary new technology goes way down. Also, you can increase the value from your current investment in SharePoint, meaning you've already invested in it as a platform. Why not maximize the benefit by bringing additional beneficial benefits to the organization through that platform? Also, if you're already supporting a SharePoint platform, you will have the skills internally within your IT department through SharePoint and SQL Server to really manage, extend, and maintain the solution yourself. Use the skills you already have and not be dependent on a third-party vendor in order to do those things for you at every turn. And because we're an all-work solution, there will be the opportunity potentially to retire multiple solutions that are being deployed just for handling one type of work and roll it all into a single solution. Now, when I talked about different applications or pre-built applications, I wasn't trying to say we're going to sell you a bunch of different modules or applications. Our application marketplace with our native apps that we're talking about here are provided to you at no additional charge. If you're an EPM Live customer, whether online or on-premise, these are just strictly value adds that you can deploy to meet the needs of your organization and for different audiences. So with that, let's get into giving you a demonstration of the solution. So here we are in EPM Live. For those of you familiar with SharePoint, it looks like a familiar look and feel of a SharePoint page. You authenticate into the solution as you would any other SharePoint user, but the EPM Live solution provides you rich capabilities right within that platform. For example, Steve Masters, when he authenticates in, the system already knows his permissions, his roles. Hence, as more of a project management resource or a project manager resource, he has a home page that is conducive to the work that he's going to do. He has main menu items that are actually project and portfolio management oriented. He has a mini portfolio of projects here that are only his, things that he's either an owner or a member of. From work or detailed assignments that he's been given, he has a single My Work area that gives him all his approval tasks, his project tasks, issues, risks, service requests, and other to-dos and work items all in a singular place so he can see what he's been assigned and provide updates and feedback against all that from here. Also, we have collaborative capabilities such that comment streams in here where people are commenting on different pieces of work or projects in a very social media fashion, much like in a very Facebookish way. Respond to all the current comment threads that you might have that pertain to a particular project, a particular task, or any particular item in the system, so that you keep all these communications as part of the solution. We also have a rich set of notifications. So anything that you've been assigned, things that require your attention, are really brought to your attention so that you can select them and actually complete those things in a very streamlined way right from the notification itself. always can be supplemented with email notification as well. But it really all starts with getting projects in the system. A central project center is really like a central portfolio for managing all your projects. And you have flexible views in here so that you can take a look at this portfolio in a variety of different ways. For example, this My Project Summary once again is showing all of my projects with certain fields and KPIs of data that might be interesting. An Executive Summary, conversely, might give me a broader set of projects using different filterings or groupings or summarizations. Here it's by the state of the project as well as the categorizations of what kind of project they are or what portfolio or initiative they might be aligned with. We also can take more dashboard-oriented type of approaches, so we can have very multi-dimensional types of dashboards. So looking at our project portfolio, maybe looking at a combination of more discrete data and graphical data to describe where we are with our projects. Overall project health data in this section, which is giving us KPIs, overdue tasks, and overdue issues. Graphics that support those things in a more cohesive and succinct way, as well as a list of overdue tasks, etc. Any of the data that we're storing in this system can be surfaced in a dashboard of this type. Also, from a portfolio management analysis perspective, we have very unique things in here like bubble charts that allow you to look at the relative merits of projects and where they stand. Here, from a flexible selection, I can select my parameters, but here, for example, I'm looking at the strategic alignment rating of a project versus its budget. High strategic alignment rating is a positive. Low budget is a positive. So anything that's got high alignment and a low budget might be a sweet spot for this company on the projects that it might want, and looking at the details at a glance at any given point in time. The key is that you can have as many different views standard of the project portfolio that you want or that you need to meet the needs of your organization. Also, projects can be defined in a variety of different ways. Any project that's in the solution would have properties that allow it to be edited. So for example, if I wanted to go look at the properties for the Xbox DVD project that's in here, any variety of things, we align them with different portfolios. We can describe benefits and project descriptions. We can categorize them in the ways that make sense for our organization. What state they're in, what type of project it might be, what business initiatives they might be aligned with, what life cycle stage is it in. Who are the actors or participants in a project management planning, sponsorship, maybe stage gate owners, etc.? When are these things going to start and finish? Other data around that. We can even categorize or quantify this project based upon weighted scoring and have categories that based on the selection have numeric scores behind them and weighting so that they can go in and calculate a total project score for a ranking or a rating for selection of which projects you want to work on first. We can also provide a lot of different dimensions of project information as well. For example, resource capacity planning on a proposed project long before we have a schedule. We might want to determine what resources are going to be required even to get the project justified. In a high-level resource capacity plan, what we might want to do is define a project based upon hours, FTEs, or FTE percentages of allocation of resources. For example, we might decide early on we want to plan generically so that we can actually determine what we need. We don't know who we're going to use yet. So I could drag a project manager up onto this project. I can maybe put a developer up on this project. And the idea from a generic basis, I can maybe plan, say, in FTEs to keep it simple, and on the project management side of things, start allocating values, like a half an FTE across the entire duration of the project. I could go in here and I could edit and ramp up and ramp down the amount of effort over the course of the project if I like as well. The developer, maybe I want to put them in there at more of a full FTE and say that's more of a full FTE of effort across the life of the project. And do this for whatever categories of resources that you may have within your organization. Now at some point, you're going to want to determine who's going to fulfill these roles on this project. And at that appropriate time, you can find matches for, say, the project manager and see what remaining availability we might have in the project manager ranks. In here, it looks like the first resource at the top has the availability and the skills. So the idea here would be to drag that resource up and replace the generic assignment with the generic with the named individual named Eli Bowen. And notice he is now allocated as the project manager, and his availability has been decremented accordingly. We could also do more complex fulfillments on these resource requirements, and maybe we find some matches on the developer side. And here we might find a suitable resource and drag them up to the developer, but instead of just doing a one-to-one replacement, let's do what we call a fulfillment. And let's show the original requirement, show that David is going to fill that whole 1 FTE, and we have no unfulfilled amount on each of those months. But what I may want to do, say, is split that work with a second resource. I can drag up Eric and say I want to split the work between Eric and David, and it's going to divide that work between the two to fulfill that 1 FTE capacity. The idea here is we can do very quick drag and drop resource capacity planning on each portfolio item, which could be made up of projects or could be made up of operational categories as well. When we want to look at these things in the aggregate, and if we did these on multiple projects or all of our projects within the mix, I can select all the projects and look at a resource analyzer to look at all the resource capacity plans in total across all of the work that we're working on or intend to work on. So it's loading all the projects and the resource capacity information so that we can see what it looks like in total and see where we may be over or under allocated. So here we have a list of all the projects that were selected. We can still look at them, as we said, in terms of hours per month, or maybe we want to look at this and change the view to make it more of an FTE view, like we planned in prior. And notice here the same information is presented, but in terms of FTEs that's required. So here we have the projects, the FTEs that are required, and then down below looking at where we're over and under allocated on resources. For example, we can see Ed Meadows, a DBA, has some over allocation periods in July, September, and October, some more severe than others. Now, a question to me might be, wow, I'm overloaded with Ed here, but do I have other DBA resources that might be able to fulfill the bill? Well, I might want to look at these totals in a little different fashion. Instead of summarizing them by the individual resource, what if I do the same thing by role, just to see if I have capacity within my DBA ranks? And as I can see here on the DBA line item, I can see that I do have plenty of capacity in here to fulfill that. I just need to be able to offload some of that work from Ed. So from that perspective, I could actually go to my resource pool. And let's say I'm the functional or resource manager that actually owns those DBA resources. I could view my centralized resource pool, and I can start viewing it by role or department or team or however we're organized. And it looks like I have 6 DBAs available to me. If I look at that in total and say, well, let me look at the resource analysis across just the DBAs, it's going to tell me what projects the DBAs are going to be supporting and to what degree those DBAs are allocated across all of that work. Now, I have Ed Meadows, who was severely over-allocated in certain periods of time. By bringing this all together, I'll look at the total DBA ranks and see where I might have some capacity on an individual resource basis. So now, because I've selected the resource, it's telling me which projects the DBAs are supporting. And as I can see, Ed is the only one in the DBA ranks who is actually over-allocated. I do have some generic allocations that have not yet been allocated, but people like Scott and Ted have plenty of capacity yet to offload some of that work from Ed. Now, if I go back to the Project Center, there's other things that we can do and model across these individual projects. For example, if I come into a project and want to build a cost plan, I can start building detailed cost budgets. And here for this strategic merger evaluation project that's upcoming, I can start building line item budgets with the categories that make sense from your budgeting perspective and start building detailed line item budgets that would actually total up to a total budget for this project. These could be frozen at some point, and then we can actually start tracking actual costs against those same categories and start comparing plan versus actual. Even early on, as you're justifying a project, you may want to state and quantify benefits so that you can see whether it's going to generate revenue growth or cost savings and use that to help justify the project plan. The idea is there's very flexible cost planning in here that can actually use your cost types and your cost categories. Also, we have a power of choice in the way we want to do planning within our solution. For example, we have a built-in online planner, or we can use Microsoft Project, or we can use our Agile Planner for an Agile-oriented, iterative-based project. So for example, on a new project, if I go to, say, Edit Plan, like on that strategic merger evaluation, it's going to give me a choice of the planners that I've enabled. In here, I've enabled Microsoft Project and our online project planner, and I can choose which one is most appropriate for this particular project. For example, this project, the Feature Request Database, had built a schedule using our online planner that does not require you buying any other scheduling tool in order to use EPM Live and build detailed waterfall schedules. This project planner does most everything people want to do within a project waterfall planner. It allows us to build tasks lists, indent and outdent tasks so that we can build a work breakdown structure hierarchy. We can put dependencies in of all types and with or without lags. We can build teams, and we can capture all the relevant data like durations, start and finish dates, work estimates, assign resources from a central resource pool, and do things like percent completes, etc. So we can do all the planning and tracking that's needed to be done here, and then we can publish the results from this planning work that we do here in this user interface out to a browser-based environment so that others can actually see what's been planned and what the current state of the plan is. We can even localize and narrow down our team sizes. So even though we may have a large central resource pool with lots and lots of resources in it, we can select from that pool, but only select and make only certain people members of this team, and then actually determine what level of access or what permissions they have on this particular project. What's nice about that is when we go to assign resources to tasks within this project plan, we only have to deal with or select from that select group of folks that were added to this team and not have to select from the entire resource pool all the time. At the end of the day, this online planner has a rich set of functionality that allows you to do browser-based and enhanced planning. Also, we have the ability to use Microsoft Project. For example, this Xbox DVD project. It was actually built in Microsoft Project. We actually provide to our customers a tool or an add-in to Microsoft Project called the Project Publisher that allows you to publish all the details or every field of data from Microsoft Project out to EPM Live in SharePoint. And then when those items go out there and people get their assignments in their My Work area, etc., they can actually provide updates in EPM Live, but the project manager can actually receive updates back from the team and see that timesheet hours were entered, percent complete values were changed, or whatever was updated, and they can receive that, and if they accept this update, it actually electronically updates the Microsoft project plan without having to rekey that information. It's really a closed loop process where you publish the data out, get updates back from your team, save the updated plan and republish it, and get the current version of the news out there at all times. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter which tool you use. The net result out in our tool is the same in EPM Live. So for the Xbox project, if I wanted to look at any of the associated items for that project, for example, going to the Task Center or the schedule, it's going to render to me in a very nice, clean browser way the full detailed hierarchical plan and schedule right here in EPM Live. All of this came from Microsoft Project or from our online planner. Either way, the net result is the same. And just like with the Project Center or the portfolio, you can have as many views of the schedule as you want. The total schedule like I'm looking at now, you could look at it in a list format or with or without a Gantt chart, or you could just focus down on things like the milestones, so you can focus on some of the key checkpoints that you want to look at and look at the health of those as well. So very flexible viewing and planning methodologies for building in your schedules. A key thing here is the concept of associated items. With our projects, you can have whatever you like associated with projects or other items in the system. For example, When I select the Xbox DVD and look up in the associated items section, we've defined change requests and issues and documents and tasks and risks and status reports. We have some customers that have like lessons learned up here and assumptions and other things that are affiliated with the project. But by selecting the project down below and selecting the associated issues, I at any given point in time can just bring up the issues that are particular to this particular project and be able to update them at any given point in time. If I have documents associated with the project, I can click on those and get access to a full document library with all the SharePoint capabilities of check-in, check-out, version control, and workflows, etc. Another key strength here is the concept of what-if analysis. For example, if I was looking at a combination of proposed and active projects, we have two what-if tools, or several what-if tools I should say, the resource analyzer, the cost analyzer, our modeler, and our optimizer. For example, when I showed you the resource analyzer earlier on, it showed us that resource capacity information that actually gave us the aggregation of all of our resource plans and showed whether we are within our capacities and where we saw Ed Meadows was over allocated. But we can actually use this tool in a what-if scenario mode, meaning that what's rendered here can be manipulated so that we can look at alternatives very easily within the system. For example, when I look at the data that we saw earlier on and I saw that Ed was overallocated, I could do things like say, well, geez, what if we didn't do this Active Directory project? Would that help us out? And if it re-racks and looks what that resource allocation looks like, it looks like we're a little closer to our capacities down below here if we don't do that project. And what if we didn't do that project and we decided we were going to take this project and take the values and delay it out maybe 3 months? What would that do to help us? So let's see if that helps us any further. As it re-racks, a little bit more, but at the end of the day is we can choose selection of projects and the movement and time phasing of projects in order to come up with some alternatives and then save scenarios that we can evaluate side by side to see which might be our best approaches. We also have a modeler that allows us to do more selection capabilities as well. Here it's more along the lines of cost constraints and budgets, but in this case I get a Gantt chart representation of the projects I've selected. And down below here I can see the costs, and I can even overlay targets on this, for example like my current annual budget, and I can look and see whether or not the aggregation of the costs on these projects is going to exceed or fit within the budgets that I have. And here I can see that it doesn't. And once again, I could say, what if I took our lower priority projects and deselected those? Does that help us out at all? As it re-renders the cost down below, it looks like I still have some work to do. Maybe I need to go down below and choose some other projects and maybe take another project and say, let's deselect those and maybe move this project out 6 months. See what that gives us. And then we get closer and closer. It looks like I've eliminated the bulk of my problems already within this current year here, but then I could also save these versions or scenarios for comparison to other scenarios so I can pick the best option for my organization. We also have an optimizer that really helps us select projects from another perspective. So all these analysis tools gives us different perspectives on our portfolio and how we might select these things. For example, I may look at a group of projects that if we did them all is going to cost me over $3.7 million. And maybe I want to look at a strategy that says really I only have about a $2.5 million budget, meaning that I've got some work to do. Now that being said, if I took all projects and I filtered them, didn't filter them at all, you'll see that I'm $700,000 off track here based upon what was selected or unselected. So based upon this limitation on the budget, I might want to filter out projects by, for example, prioritization score and say, let's just only accept projects that fit under a certain over a certain priority. And here I see that it knocked a bunch of projects out based on that criteria. Or I might want to say I can fit more projects in by going into lower priority projects. And I might want to then on top of that pick projects that only have over a certain amount of benefits that are going to come back to the organization, and find a combination of filters. And these filters are selectable based on different parameters we have in the solution. The idea is that we can choose based upon filtering parameters, based on constraints, and also choose whether or not we want to force projects in and out based upon things that we have to do, like compliance projects, etc. We also have the ability to manage any number of portfolios in here. So for example, in our portfolios feature, you can aggregate, organize, and associate projects with different portfolios. For example, I have different portfolios in here, like this product innovation portfolio. If I go up and want to see any projects that are associated with that portfolio, I can get a very clear look and focus just on that particular portfolio. Through permissions, limit access to only people in those portfolios, and look at summarization across the portfolio and also to the individual projects and member projects themselves. We can also provide a lot of rich portfolio level reporting, and I can actually do things like a portfolio dashboard that really gets up to that portfolio level, which is a higher or above the level of the individual member projects, and start looking at metrics based upon the individual portfolios, and then detailed data based upon the contributing projects to those portfolios. We also have a wide variety of reporting. If we go into our report center, we have a combination of charting, listing reports, and SQL reporting services reports. As you can see here, we have charting web parts that allow you to render different chart types and different data. What's nice about these, they're configurable by the user. Much like an Excel chart, you can actually edit these web parts and set the chart types, the colors, the X and Y axes, etc., much like you would in an Excel chart, but then render them in different places on a dashboard page like this to get a very multi-dimensional view of your projects. You can also go in and get other types of reporting. We have listing reports in here. If I was looking at all issues in my project, I could say, give me all active issues by priority. And it would go across all of my projects and start looking and giving me listing type of reports by all type of active issues across all projects. And you can have as many different views or flavors of this as you might want. We also have SQL reporting services reports. So for example, SSRS gives you the ability to do true report formats and things like getting consistent status reporting across all of them. So for example, if I render a SQL report in a viewer, I can actually say, give me a status report for a particular project. And in a common format, I could get header information, KPIs, schedule, cost, overdue tasks, milestone completion, etc., etc. And the idea is that you can consistently draw the same information for all projects without having to generate these reports in a manual or semi-manual fashion. One of the beauties of these SSRS format is you can then put these out to many common document formats like PDF, Word, and Excel, so they can be pushed out to other people or archived. What's nice about this is that these can be scheduled and run and sent to predefined distribution lists as well. The key is that we provide over 100 out-of-the-box reports of a variety of different formats. You can choose to keep the ones we have, you can modify the ones we have, or you can add to these libraries with your own. And because, as I mentioned in the slides, that this is all SQL, SharePoint, those are common skills that IT departments and folks in organizations typically have today. You can actually create your own views and reports without having to depend on the vendor or having to write any code to make those things happen. EPM Live has a rich set of capabilities. We really focused on the project and portfolio management aspects of things today. But we can have as many different communities as we want. So we can have solutions that focus on resource management, on professional services, and other things. So the idea is that we can actually provide capabilities that are conducive to the type of work you're going to do. The individual or the team member that gets assigned all these work items and all these actionable things within the system can have their own private places to go to get all of their work, which can also be rendered in their Outlook if they find it easier, if they live and breathe in Outlook, to get these things assigned to them and actually status them in Outlook and have it pass over to EPM Live. But we can also do timesheets, do timesheet requests, request time off, assign to-dos to us and others, and even submit project requests that can go through an approval workflow process before they get into the project portfolio. We can save those for another day, but from an overview perspective, hopefully this gives you a good flavor for what EPM Live does from a traditional project and portfolio management perspective. Thank you for your time today, and please feel free to contact us at epmlive.com if you have any questions or would like to do an evaluation of this tool. Thank you, and have a great day.